This is LXBN TV, and I'm Colin O'Keefe. As part of our interview series on what the next 4 years hold following President Barack Obama's Election Day win, I'm speaking with Daniel Schwartz of the Connecticut Employment Law Blog and Pullman and Comley. Dan, you've suggested on your blog that there haven't been a lot of changes in employment law since Obama took office for his first term. What do you expect to see over the next term?
Well, I think what we've seen, particularly over the last 2 years, is a good deal of gridlock. And so the idea that we're going to see some wholesale changes to legislation probably isn't going to happen. Things that were promised in the first term, such as the Employee Free Choice Act, are probably still dead on the vine, given the split in Congress. I think the two biggest things that I would expect to see are probably based on a law that we've already passed, Obamacare, and then really with the agencies themselves, mainly the National Labor Relations Board, which has taken a much more active role in employers over the last few years or so. I think with respect to the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, we're going to start to see the implementation of regulations enforcing it. So any employers dealing with employee benefit issues, this will be, I think, the single biggest issue that they'll have to deal with over 2013. And then with the National Labor Relations Board, we're going to continue to see an expansion of their sphere of influence, an impact perhaps on votes and on elections, and a continued emphasis on social media, which is where they've been over the last, particularly the last 2 years.
It's going to be interesting to watch Obamacare being a big agassue, especially for employers. But what else is out there on the horizon for employers to keep an eye on?
Well, again, I think with respect to where the action is going to be, it's probably going to be with the agencies themselves. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see the EEOC continue to issue some guidance. Just over the last few weeks or so, we've seen some guidance dealing with domestic violence, which isn't traditionally known as being covered by Title VII. But what should happen in those instances? We may also see some compromise legislation that both parties want to advance. So, for example, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, an act which would prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, may be an area where we can get some compromise. We really haven't seen it in the past, but again, this may be an area that we'll see. I think for employers, one area to also focus on is with the lack of federal progress, we may see more state-by-state legislation. So Connecticut, for example, last year passed the Paid Sick Leave Act. If we're not going to see that type of legislation get through on a federal level, we may see more pushes to get that done at a state action. So, finally, the big unknown is the Supreme Court. There may be some changes that happen as a result of resignations, and who knows if we'll see the court shift slightly back to the left. If that happens, there are a number of issues that are back in play for employers to consider.
Again, that was Daniel Schwartz of the Connecticut Employment Law Blog. For more of his insight, be sure to visit ctemploymentlawblog.com. And for curated election commentary, visit LXBN's dedicated Election 2012 section by searching Election 2012 on LXBN.com and then just clicking on that tag. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks very much, Colin.